Monday, yeah, Monday, yeah. No, he said Monday.
So Bear Creek residents, if your address is in the Bear Creek area, everybody's welcome to sign in, but Bear Creek residents vote. If you're not residing in Bear Creek, you don't. That's how all these meetings work. So sign in if you're a Bear Creek person, you're welcome to sign in anyway. It's nice to have us here.
We have to be over 18.
Where's the sign in?
It's on the back sheet, back there, back there. You see the second one?
Oh, we can pull our. Let me separate those so we can get more than $1. Bear Creek includes extra.
Oh, yeah, Bear Creek comes from the bridges out to mile 9. Yeah. Very interesting.
So if you see the little cans,
The green boxes.
yeah.
In town.
So 22568, my wife on the Scoutmaster. Coordinates with
Yeah.
Mr. Moore here, and they empty them and recycle them up there. Fred takes them up to recycling plant and pays me.
So that goes into the troop account.
Yeah, I'm the treasurer for the church.
Yes, it does.
You have like $6 there.
124.
I signed
That's
it.
amazing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, we have two community boxes and then two that are the local, boat companies, so they have lots of cans. So we spend a pretty short, gosh, 2.5, 3 hours sorting cans, so we get them.
Voting has its consequences.
And it's,
Yeah, no.
it's so good as possible, and then, yeah.
Good. That's excellent.
You guys were talking about the scout collection. Do you have both of them?
Yes.
I know that Phyllis and Carol are going to upkeep of the box. Sustainable solutions on the thing. But if you would like to have it, that's my
It's a pretty cool little program. Someone started several years ago and then stopped. And so the scout troop said, well, we'll do it.
We actually built 2 of our buildings.
I didn't know they were turning it into a pretty good nonprofit.
So, yeah, so
Wonderful.
Yeah. Big worldwide thing.
Yeah, they can, instead of it just always costing us money.
we're pretty obvious around there.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's 11:30, so we'll get started. Welcome to the annual CIP, CAP meetings. We'll start with CIP. I don't know how many remember revenue sharing, community revenue sharing. That's how it used to work from the state. When we had, funding challenges around 2013 or 14, it went away, so we in Senate Finance came up with the idea that it would just be a direct appropriation every year, and that's where we came up with the CAP program, if you will, the CIP, the Community Assistance Program. CIP is the infrastructure projects that, some communities are not putting projects in. It's a mistake. You have no idea when I was doing a capital budget for years, but now today when they're doing a state capital budget, when oil doesn't go from $74 to 95 overnight, and they know that they're gonna have some funding available for projects. It's got a parking lot here that we squeezed in a pretty tight year. Those things happen. So we should start with CIP. It's important. And that is just, we need your 2 priorities in order for a infrastructure project that can occur. It has to be capital, in the next funding year. What we do is assemble them. I remember talking about the projects last year, but your coordinator didn't follow up, so didn't make the book. This year, we're gonna make sure that you have a primary coordinator and a secondary, so we have somebody to nudge the primary. It's pretty important. And they can range from millions of dollars to 50 or 60. Sometimes it's real easy to plug in those 50, 60, $120,000 ones when they're trying to get votes from legislators that don't wanna support the budget, and they say, well, this is important to my community, maybe you can slip this in. I don't want to slip it in like it sounds dishonest, but it's just how it works. And sometimes we get some of our most valuable community projects from that, so. These guys, I'm Peter, your mayor.
Dana, I work in Mayor Chief's office as special assistant, with community projects and constituent relations.
And I'm Heather, I also work in the mayor's office, I'm the grants administrator, so I do covering the CAP portion.
And of course, your assembly member Cindy's here in the back. Yes, ma'am.
How come nobody was informed of this meeting until 2 days ago for Seward?
Well, I'll let you answer that, Heather, that's.
So actually the flyers were sent out to the community, or sorry, the organizations that received the funding in the past, and we did ask for assistance in getting them out. It was posted on our, borough calendar as well. The CAP portion, the minimum requirement is 5 days,
5 days?
5 days.
So 2 wasn't
And we
activated?
did meet that 5
We
days.
did.
Oh, it was posted
Yes.
5 days ago?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
We saw the 2-day post on our Facebook page.
And it
Yeah,
was sent
we
to,
saw it.
it was sent
But
to
it was
where?
2 days we got notice.
It was sent to the
So
grant
how are you
recipients
supposed to put
from
all
last
that
year,
together
and
in
we
2 days
asked
for your grant?
We
It-
didn't, so we can only send it and post it the way we post it, and what people do with it is up to them.
You don't know how to share it?
Pardon?
You don't know how to share it within the community pages so that more people were able to see it?
We do our
That's pretty
official,
easy.
we do our official notice and then it goes out. I'm now a member of, the local page, but that's not what those guys do. We don't, I mean, there's a million of them, we don't know which ones, that's not what we do. We do official notices, but
Is there a reason you don't mail an official notice to everyone who is a member of this service area?
yes, we don't do that. We've never done that.
Wouldn't that be?
You do it to get our votes. Seems like the borough could do it to provide notice to us about things that affect our community.
What do you mean we do it to get your vote?
Like I get flyers from your campaign to vote.
You get
So,
flyers from my campaign?
yeah, when it's time to vote for things, I get all kinds of flyers from people all over the
Oh, from
borough.
people, yes.
So it seems like if I can get that kind of mail, I should be able to get mail about funding in my community and the fact that I have an opportunity to participate in a decision about how the funding is spent.
Yeah, that's not how we notice meetings. We notice meetings on our calendar and we get them to the organizations that have applied in the past and we hope they spread it to their folks.
And there were 2 organizations that applied in the past, the fire department, right, which got the majority of the grants for.
Okay, we're not doing this.
No, this is what we did
The
yesterday,
meeting
but
was
I think
noticed,
you need to be,
And we have
hear
an
us.
hour for this meeting, so we have to be to Moose Pass by.
I think
Yes, sir.
I think that what's
And you
what's
guys
being
can bring
voiced
this up
is
later.
a frustration that it did seem like there was a limited notice. And when only a very select few nonprofits got that heads up, it does make it difficult to spread it to the community. And with a lot of other events happening today specifically that have been booked for a long time, that's a reason why there's fewer people here than might have been here otherwise. So I think that the goal would be to try to find a way of, whether it's identifying, whether it's on your part or on our part, what can be done so that this information is well understood ahead of time so that the full participation can be there, which was what I think everybody wants.
I
So
think
that's, I think.
I think that's a fair, message, I mean, we're not gonna do mailers on
Sure.
these meetings, I mean, it's a $15,000 thing, we have 62,000 residents, right?
Would that be something that you mentioned, having that primary and secondary representative for the CIP, would that have been their primary job to communicate this information out, or
Well,
how do we solve that?
Yeah, I mean, so I've been going to these since 2007. And, I've seen the same notice every year, and they're various, so you have to organize these meetings from Lowell Point to, Seldovia, right? And they're all over the borough, we typically put a notice out, and, last year I said, we have to find a better way to communicate with Bear Creek. It seems to be a problem here, and I don't know why. I don't know if folks aren't communicating. Usually we put the thing out, we come to these meetings, and the community's already worked out who's getting what. We rarely have, like, almost all the votes are unanimous. We rarely have folks that, haven't already agreed to kind of how the community's going to split it up. So there's something different here, it's hard for me to really put my finger on it. But whatever we can do to improve that in the future, we're happy to do it. But it is typically we send out the notice, the folks show up, at many of the meetings, there's 4 or 5 people, and they say the community's agreed on these projects for CIP and CAP, and it's often a 10-minute meeting.
Oh, and what would be a community that would be a good case point to to reach out to?
Tustamina, Moose Pass, Cooper Landing, Hope sometimes, I mean, some of the communities the last disagreement I can think of was in Sterling, which is was a large community, the senior center, they've been dividing similarly for many years, and then there was a new senior center director that wanted all of it, and so that was a fun meeting. It worked out the same way after everybody voted on the way they split it, but just typically it's you guys can work on this all year long. This is coming up, and hopefully as a community you agree. We're gonna do what you vote, but it's not our place to be referee, that's the community's job. All we do is get the funding for you and make sure it's distributed the way that it needs to be through 501c3s and our grants department, so. I don't know the best way to do it. I mean, we're busy, we do the best we can, we're all over this borough every day, but,
Do better.
Mayor, one just quick question. Is it typically this time of year, so that in mid-September, we can start watching the borough calendar, so that we're not caught
Last year was in
shorthand?
October, I think. And we were
last
really
year was
expecting it to
October
be
because we
October.
did a follow-up meeting because of the complaints about not knowing about the meeting, so we did a follow-up meeting. We're not gonna be doing any more follow-up meetings.
So we
The
should
original
expect
meeting was in September, and then the follow-up meeting was in October.
And maybe from our side, if we know it's in September, maybe sometime in the summer or whatever, we should get together and talk about it. Because we know it's coming. Different organizations instead of drawing other organizations. So we can do our part to get together a month or 2 ahead of time and bring in our ideas.
I would expect somewhere around the $15,000, generally be vetoed part of it this year, but we'll get them there for next year eventually. It's gonna be somewhere around that amount, but even if you discussed on proportions, and then when the final number comes out, whether it's 12 or 30, you would agree on proportions on kind of what the community wants to see happen for 40% here, 50% there, 10% for something smaller, whatever you decide. A lot of the other communities do that. You walk into the meeting with kind of this is what we wanna do this year, so.
Is that because they have community councils?
Not all of them.
Yeah, most of them don't,
Don't?
but community council might be a good way to do that if you decide to have a community council.
Lowell Point has a community council, Hope has a Hope Inc., Moose Pass has the Sportsman Club, Cooper Landing has a community, it's not college council, but something, and they get together before this meeting happens. So if you'd like to stay for 10 minutes after this meeting, maybe we can talk about next steps for that.
Yeah, that's not a borough meeting, but it's a nice, good way to discuss how to kind of get back together on how the community meets. Like, we don't tell you what to do, we, try to bring people together so that they make their own decisions and that these are smooth, and they are smooth. So there's something different here, I don't,
They're smooth when there's only 5 people voting on something.
pardon?
They're smooth when there's only 5 people that know to come and vote for something.
Well, they'd be that,
Everybody unanimously already knows to vote on whatever
well, they've been meeting all
the
year
5
on
full
various
people get
things,
to
so they-
decide.
it's not 5 people that decide, the community has decided, they've sent representatives because they've agreed on something.
Mm.
So it's a better way to do it, where you guys meet by yourselves and decide what you wanna do, and then 2 people can walk in, or 3 people can walk in and say, this is what the community decided on.
We need to get our act together and plan ahead for next year. That's what we need to get our organization together, so when we come here, we can have this many people or 2 people, and we'll still get what everybody agrees on. That's, so we're learning, that's what we're learning, we gotta get ready for next year.
Okay.
Okay,
No, we learned this last year. At this meeting, yeah. Maybe it could be put on the grants webpage also for the borough, because I went to the grants webpage and it's not listed there.
okay. They're not grants yet until they become grants, but that's
It's
a good way to notify.
opportunity,
Yeah,
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 that's
everywhere
coming
we,
up.
everywhere we can. I'd love to work with you to figure out what's different in Bear Creek to make it not be an issue.
Property taxes.
Whatever.
Well, it's not a community,
I
it's
don't know,
a
just
collect,
threw
it's
that
a
in there.
collection of neighborhoods.
Right.
What's
So
different?
we don't have a unifying
in the
center, like Low Point is a community and Hope is a community and Moose Pass is a community, but Bear Creek is like areas and neighborhoods, there's nothing unifying about this area.
Probably identifies with Seward more than it does Bear Creek.
Right, yeah. I mean, until last year, I didn't really realize that we were our own entity living out in this area. And this building is the only thing that is like a quote unquote community gathering place, but it's not really, because the community doesn't use it. So I think, I was thinking about this from last year, that's the issue, we don't have, it's not a community, it's neighborhoods.
I mean, we're a very diversified, borough. I mean, 2/3 of our residents don't live in a city of 62,000 people. And, I guess a similar place would be like Casila,
Yeah.
but the Casila folks get together. I mean, I really like that you're having a community council discussion, because there's clearly a gap
Yeah.
on you guys getting together and making decisions as a community. And, I mean, this area's growing, and if you don't have connectivity, like physically, you have to come up with a way to have connectivity with the community. And we don't do that, that's your decision, but that would be really nice to see you meet quarterly on some of these issues or something, and have some social things, and iron out some of the wrinkles and decide what your community's vision is when you move forward. So, we should start with CIP. What kind of projects do you have in mind? I don't remember the road, I looked for my notes from last year, we were talking about a road issue last year that was you had a 1 and 2.
Is it Bear Lake? But I don't remember the details. And could I ask a question about that? You mentioned earlier that those projects didn't move forward because the people who were put as leads or heads on them didn't push the project forward. And so then it was decided that the parking lot would be paved here. We were able to get that in.
That was the previous year.
That was last year.
Yeah.
was the Bear Lake. So those didn't get pushed forward because there wasn't leadership on them, but we voted on them. Okay, so this year it's really important that we have some leadership on the projects.
Right, so what we need to do is identify a primary, and if that person doesn't get the CIP paperwork filled out, it doesn't get put into our book and then brought to the assembly for approval and then get presented to the state. In order to be in CAPSIS, that paperwork has to be filled out.
Okay.
So I think this year we'll do a primary and a secondary and, work on that. Heather's kind of new,
So-
we had a transition as well, but
I was designated a primary on one of the projects last year, and when I went to fill out the paperwork, it very clearly specifies that paperwork needs to be sponsored by a 501c3,
oh,
which I am not. And I was not representing a 501c3, so, I think that that needs to be made very clear too. That it can't just be a random citizen who says, yes, all of Bear Creek voted and this is what we want for our project. There has to be a nonprofit behind it.
CAP requires a nonprofit that fills out a biannual report of the state. The CIP does not. So if that's on the CIP,
It's not
So
on-
the paperwork that I was given at this meeting last year, because I was gonna look into extending the multi-use path, very clearly said I needed to have 501c3 status, which is why I dropped it. I even called the man who was with you last time and we had a conversation about it. And then that was the end of it.
So there's two pots of money, CIP and
There's two pots, yeah,
CDP,
there's
and
two-
how much in each?
there's two pots of money. We don't know about CIP. That's just an opportunity in the capital budget. You do not have to be a 501c3. I'm sorry, the clerk's office was here this year, last year, this year they have us doing both. It does not require that it's a 501c3 for a CIP. It's just a community sorted project, and when you vote on it, it becomes community sorted or supported. We'll do a number one and a number two. We'll work with you for the right paperwork. I apologize that that happened last year. I'm not in the clerk's office. The clerk does not report to me. We'll make sure you get the right paperwork and we'll help walk you through. We want all the projects possible with varying values, large to small, so that we can work with our folks in Juneau to try to get our projects into the capital budget. So that might be one that you bring up this year. I don't know, but we'll see what you guys support.
you can also look up previous applicants online, so you can see what has been submitted by other organizations and see, maybe find one that's, and I can help you with that, cause I'm helping with that this year through the mayor's office. I do have a sample application here. It doesn't say anything about 501c3. It does have a federal tax ID, but that is the tax ID of who the project would be completed by. So, anyways, but I'm happy to help work through that project and show you previous applications as well as an example of the application this year.
Sounds like she was given the cap form.
It sounds like you're given the cap form.
From last year's, from what I remember, a large capital project and a relatively small capital project would have been the bike path extension, which was what was just referenced. That would be a large, considering the railroad interference and right of ways. And then the small would be the Bear Creek Weir parking. That entire corner was something that we all discussed last year.
I remember that now.
I don't know if there were any other ones that would make it into the top two besides those two, unless anybody else remembers.
I'm not quite sure, but I thought there was a conversation about where Bluff and Bear Lake comes together, and then approach Iditarod, expanding that out, but I don't know if it was dropped or not, whether it would have been a forestry concern rather than a CIP concern. I'm not 100% sure, but that was discussed.
Yeah, I felt like those kind of got lumped together as two little parking areas in Bear Lake was the impression I left with.
Can you add the weir to that third one, please, so we have,
Yes, ma'am.
My name's Kimberly Strelo, and I'm here representing the Seward Iditarod Trailblazers. And we have a definite interest in connecting the bike trail to the Iditarod Trail connection on Nash Road. We would like to see an extension of the bike path that will continue that trail all the way to Bear Lake. We also have projects that we have done, building a bridge crossing, some of the various areas that, hikers would not be able to. We have projects this year that we need to correct some of the areas that need some work. I would like to read this, and I worked on the other day. Trail areas of the Iditarod National Historic Trail are rough and inaccessible. Areas of the Bear Lake and Snow River require maintenance, gravel, culverts, and to make the trail passable in wet, mud, water flow areas. Gravel will be needed to be hauled by truck or track loader to the area in need. Gravel will be needed to be purchased. Funding to cover the cost will be required. Seeking grants, community volunteers for fundings to be encouraged. The Iditarod Trail from Nash Road to Snow River requires extensive improvements. This area is a multi-use. Hikers, bikers, ATVs, skiers, sled dogs, snowmobiles are just some of the local community members using this area of the trail. Safety is everyone's responsibility in this area. Your consideration to providing funding to our nonprofit organization will be greatly appreciated by the local community members. So I'd like to say that there are areas that, as a 501c, my nonprofit would really like to utilize some of these funds to improve something for us. This is like the trail that you run along in Seward. That was the Trailblazers that brought that into our area. We would like to connect it all the way to the Iditarod Trail so it continues on. And with the long trail going on right now, that's another great beginning for our community, connecting to those other places. The Iditarod Trailblazers organization, our responsibility is from mile 0 to Crow Pass. That takes us all the way to Girdwood. So I'd like to throw my name into that ringer for the Iditarod Trailblazers. And if you need somebody to be a point in our community, I would really like to be able to do that. I am
Is this in the Bear Creek area? I'm just sorry, I just wanna clarify that it's Bear Creek.
I live here.
Oh,
Yeah,
but the,
you're, yes, she was recommending stuff in Bear Creek.
I got you, thank you.
Right, yes, thank you very much.
All right, so we have Bear Lake, Iditarod Trail. So one thing I just wanna say is, we do have resources, you don't have to purchase gravel. We have an ungodly amount of gravel that we are like looking for ways to get rid of it, so on projects that are because of the flood service area, we have a tendency to pay people to remove the gravel, and then we would like to make the gravel available to the community instead of them getting paid twice by moving that gravel onto other projects.
Excellent, thank you.
So keep some of those things in mind. We have an enormous quantity of gravel, and I have a feeling that God's gonna make that available every year, whoever you decide deposits gravel in our streams every year. So
Right.
we really wanna put that to work for our constituents. So there may be some hauling costs, but we'll give our gravel away. We finally got the state to stop charging us for their gravel. So just keep that in mind when those projects come up, talk to us and see how we can help to reduce your costs and have your limited dollars go to things that you have to pay,
Right.
Are these the things we're gonna get to vote on?
unless you have other.
No, I was wondering if somebody could address the bike path extension, if anybody had any more information about what.
So the mentality there was, the initial discussion of the bike path extension is it currently ends right across the street. So the mentality was to extend it out essentially to at least Bear Lake. I mean, you still have routes around the corner, mile 7, yeah, right around the corner there. So ideally all the way up to there. Because currently, right now, you just have all these families biking on the side of the road and, you know, people walking
That
their
everybody's
dogs.
complaining about.
Yeah, so that's a major one, even just to connect community, or to, neighborhood to neighborhood. I mean, there's no way to get from Bear Lake to Stony Creek without walking the tracks or on the street.
I agree that that's a really good project, but just to be clear, what Kim was talking about is also, putting a bike path along Nash Trail to right about where Sawmill Creek is.
And
part of that is in city sewer,
Yeah.
but part of it is in rural.
So you're saying a bike path along Nash Road?
Yes.
To go from the existing path there at
In
the corner of the
addition-
highway and Nash,
Yeah,
all the way to the Iditarod trailhead
right,
at mile, whatever that is on Nash.
Sawmill Creek.
Sawmill Creek, right. So,
And then all of that trail connects all the way to Bear Lake.
So that'd be the same thing, that I did a road trail and the next road.
So
That
that
just-
is- that
that's
is the
just a matter
same.
of
That is the
clarifying.
same, okay.
Yeah.
I did run
no,
it now.
two different, they're different.
It's two different?
But it'd be the,
Yes.
oh, okay.
Same concept.
Same, but
different areas.
different areas.
I mean, if it could be swung up the chain as a singular, I mean, it is an extension of the
That's what I
bike
meant, would
path
be
in
the
two
same
different
road.
directions, but we would probably want advice on that. My vote would be that this would be primary as far as the extension, Nash Road would be secondary, but if they could be combined into one, I mean, that would be wonderful for the whole community.
Well, the highway bike path extension, my opinion is that it goes all the way to Grouse Lake Road.
Sure.
Let's just dream big. Yeah. And if we only get funding for it to go to Bear Lake, then great for me, but not so great for Amy, who lives on Old Mill.
Sure,
Right.
absolutely.
It's just a year.
And all those families that live back in that subdivision. And, yeah, linking the Nash Road bike path and the highway extension, I mean, if that's something that we can put into one, CIP request, Mr. Mayor, then that would be a great idea. If it has to be separated out, then, we separate it out. Living on Bear Lake Road, some type of traffic control, parking at the weir is a big priority for me. It's crazy, at times, with the, and I mean no disrespect, the clueless, tourists that, wanna go look at fish. So, something, it's shocking to me that no one has gotten hurt there, but we all have stories about close calls. And we're not driving 35 miles an hour around that corner. We're driving appropriate speeds and we still almost, have cars pull out, kids running across, so.
Okay, so Bear Creek residents, are there any other CIP projects? So, we can do them individually, but if we did something larger and combined, what I would suggest for the application is breaking it out, because we might be able to get part of it done. And then it would be one segment less that we would have to do in the future if we were able to get one into a capital budget. So that would be in the application process. I don't know how you wanna lump them up for the vote. But we can do that and then make it larger in the application process and have it segmented out in case part of it can be funded.
One more question, and forgive my ignorance, but if you're talking $15,000, is that?
No, we're doing the CI, the capital project
Oh, and
question first.
how much was that?
Well, there's not a dollar amount.
Okay, so, cause I was wondering, I would have no idea how much any of this costs. So
Yes.
we're not worrying about that?
The application, there will have to be, funding, projections and total costs. So that's
Okay.
part of what the primary contact does, is look at, funding,
Okay.
or,
Like,
the potential costs.
Okay, but for voting purposes, we don't have to take that into account?
No, and then we'll do the community assistance program second after we finish this process.
Thank you.
Okay, so, Bear Creek residents, let's get numbers of folks that support a number one. Bear Lake?
Can you read what it is?
Don't know what that is.
I can't see the
Bear Lake,
board.
so it might be that this is part of, the bike path extension, I think this was when we talked about last year's project, Bear Lake, I just put it up there, that you guys had talked about for last year.
So is that the same thing?
Is that the same as the extension to Bear Lake?
No, I think that was supposed to be the parking project.
Yeah.
Okay, Bear Lake parking project?
At the trailhead?
I thought that was the weir.
There's two parking areas.
Right.
One at
Okay.
the weir and one at the bluff.
Right, yeah, they're either the same or let's make them different, clearly different.
Okay, so Bear Creek with the weir, and then this other one would be the parking area where?
At the trailhead.
At the trailhead.
Is that, yeah, to make it abundantly clear. And that's the corner of Bluff and Bear Lake Road. That's currently all posted, no parking.
That's Forest Service, and
That's
there's,
there's a lot of land issues, but
so
let's.
let me just speak to that, because I don't think we should have that up there, because that's Forest Service property. And there's funds available to do that from the Forest Service.
And the Trailblazers are working on that.
And the Trailblazers are working on that right now.
Right now.
And it's gonna happen from a different angle, so I don't think that that should be up there, the one that the weir should be though. Because we have something else going on for that. You wanna, yeah?
Yeah, that parking is under construction right now.
Oh.
The trees are taken out, they're just waiting to remove the stumps and put in gravel, and there'll be limited parking.
In a minuscule size parking
Yeah, it's-
flood.
It's,
But at least it'll be a legal parking right now.
if you want more information, attend the Trailblazers meeting and you'll find out what we got going on. There's
Second
more- there-
Wednesday of this coming month.
This is phase one, there'll be a phase two.
Does everyone agree that the Bear Lake parking area trailhead should be eliminated from the list?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay? Eraser time.
Just one line, one strip.
Yeah. Okay, so the bike path extension of Bear Lake, or this for your number one, we'll just get a count of the votes and then we'll go with number one and number two for the vote.
I don't think the intention for that was ever to end at Bear Lake. It was always to cover every neighborhood.
Yeah, could you change
All
that
the
Bear
way
Lake to
around
Grouse Lake?
Yeah.
Grouse Lake. Grouse, just the way it sounds?
Like a bird. Yeah.
Grouse?
Oh, Grouse Lake.
Grouse Lake.
Okay, votes for the bike path extension to Grass Lake. Bear Creek parking, weird.
Can we vote
Cameron.
twice?
Yeah, voted
You
twice.
vote twice, for number one and number two. Good, so.
Either or.
Well,
Oh, you get two votes?
7?
Okay.
Oh, is your hand up? Yeah,
No.
8.
Iditarod Trail.
and what exactly is that, Kim? What, in this title? It's not the bike path along Nash.
What our plans, and something that we've also requested with the state, and we're trying to connect our bike path, when you turn Nash Road by those railroad tracks is extremely dangerous. But what we would like to do is extend that pathway going all the way along the side of Nash Road to the trailhead on, it's where you, after you cross the bridge
Yeah,
and where
that's
they
the next
clean it
bullet
up.
point.
Yeah, so,
So, is it listed on the whiteboard twice? Sorry to
yes,
cut you off.
I think it is.
Okay, I just wanted to make that.
So can we,
I can't see that.
yeah, so cross off that Iditarod Trail and just Nash Road bike path, yeah, there
There you go.
That's,
Can I take my one from Bear Creek parking and move it down to Nash Road?
Okay, so it'd be 7 to 12?
Yeah. Please, thank you.
Well, you should revote the Nash Road bike path, right?
We haven't voted it yet.
Right, because the votes before it.
Okay, so Nash Road bike path, we're voting on that now. This little guy almost got me, his hand was really high.
Got stick.
That one over here.
Okay, so is everyone,
Real quick on this though, before we mentioned about like combining and whatnot, so as off the initial vote, I mean, you really only have, well, if you were to combine the two bike paths, you'd have two projects, which is perfect for 1 and 2. However, you would want, based off of your experience in your office, would it be better for us to submit those separately as our 1 and 2, the bike path for Grouse Lake and the bike path for that Nash Road, and forget the weir, or combine those two. But if we only get the funding for the first, we're running the risk of not getting the funding for the second.
I think you can combine the two if you split it out in the application and then put Bear Creek parking as the second project. And then we'll look for opportunities for, see what it looks like in April and look for opportunities to drop one, both, or divide the number 1 and 2. We'll focus on the number 1 first, even if they're combined, and see what might be available.
It would seem that Bear Creek parking would be a lot less costly. That could be used around.
Well, the one challenge I will say from my work with the railroad is that all these railroad crossings are, I believe, and I might be wrong, but I believe are illegal. The spacing to the highway is incorrect. And so, if anything, there could be a way of getting some funding from the railroad to assist with this whole thing. However, I don't know if there's a really feasible solution, because you'd have to move the railroad tracks back, I don't know, 40 feet, or I don't know what the number is. You've got bridges in place, so now maybe it means putting that bike path on the other side of the highway, on the west side of the highway. But I don't know what the ramifications of that are either. So my point is just that the railroad is gonna be a real problem with it. It was before. So it could turn into a very expensive
Well, they tried to do it when they first designed it to put it in.
Yeah.
And all what you're saying came up then, and that hasn't changed.
Right.
The tracks are where they are, the highway is where it is, there's an easement between the two. And you have to stay so far away from those railroad tracks in case a chain or something is whipping around and could smack somebody on the bike path, right?
Hit a
So,
rock.
Anything, so really, I think you're focused on something that's already been focused heavily on and got nixed, and that's why Len's right here. That's my understanding.
Okay, who is the primary representative for the bike paths?
I would do that, I would do that.
Okay.
I would do that.
And who is the secondary that's gonna make sure she's responsive or that we're responsive?
My husband, yeah, don't worry, he's already behind her.
I'll do that.
Thank you, Lori,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Very good,
So
thank
if
you.
you could
What
just
about
mark your
the
names,
parking at the weir?
So I have your point of contact.
Who wants to be parking?
Somebody else better step up on that one.
I can do the parking on the rear.
Okay. And who can be secondary for parking at the weir?
You guys that were complaining need to step up.
Want to work together on it?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Chief Bracken.
This is,
The-
I'm gonna send you the electronic copy, but this is the application, and, it has to be submitted electronically, but just so you know.
By the 17th of October,
October 31st.
October 31st.
And if we need to help you from our project folks on any potential cost, questions, we can do that as well.
Very good.
But please think about when these things come up. And I'll just give you an example that the Kiski Senior Center was looking for gravel and been struggling for months, and in like 10 minutes, we had a contractor donate gravel. I mean, we have resources available to us and we're happy to help. And that's the only reason we're here. So reach out if we can help with local projects like that. Pardon?
I've reached out several times about my road, nobody will help me.
Just
getting graded to gone.
Called the KPB over, I'm probably the only one that's ever called, as much as I've called, and nobody will fix the road.
You're on the
They're like,
borough
you'll pave your parking lot pretty easily.
Are you on a borough maintained road?
Yeah,
Okay. My cell phone number is 398.
can you write this down, boys? You got my pen and paper.
398-6759. Everybody should write this down if you have these things. My office number is 714-2150. first thing we do is take your call and we refer it to the roads department. Roads is required, whatever department is required to copy me on their response to you. And if we don't see action that's appropriate within our borough authorities, then I will get involved and we will take care of that problem.
So I asked at the beginning of summer, and I was told that, it didn't need to be maintained, and if you had extra gravel come July when the next, whatever, switches
Okay,
over.
that's not what we're doing today. Call me and we'll do that
I gotta
next.
call you personally, talk to you about my road.
Absolutely.
Mr. McKeechee, is that what it is?
Close enough.
Michiki?
I don't correct any pronunciation of my name. Okay, CAP, you guys, what suggestions do you have? What's the total for this year?
Yep, so the total for this year for the CAP grants for the community is $15,479.41. It's divided amongst however many projects you guys decide that you want to support, and at what level. So just would need to be a nonprofit that would be responsible for the projects. Do you guys remember what projects happened last year, what was voted on for last year? Do you guys need a refresher, or you wanna jump right in?
Please, give us a refresher.
So last year, you guys voted $10,000 to the Seward Nordic Ski Club for a storage building for winter trail grooming equipment. And the remaining $5479.41 went to Bear Creek Volunteer Fire towards a snow machine to help response to remote areas. So does anybody have any projects that they would like to present? What about?
I got one. This is up in the Tie Hacker, Bear Lake area. This is also part of the Iditarod Trail. If you ever need, I don't know if you guys get up in that area, but if you try to, hike that trail, you're gonna be traveling through at least 50 yards of mud that's about 3 feet deep where the trail's been eroded by ATVs. This is a multi-use trail, so ATVs, snowmobiles, dog sleds, bikes, hikers, everybody gets to use it. Several times people have tried to repair it and try to get drainage on it, but the material there is just so soft, it just erodes away. And so if, I would say if we had probably about $4,000, we could bring in gravel and just fill that trench up across. It's gonna be an ongoing maintenance thing because of the material that's there, but it needs to get repaired now so you can even just walk across it. You guys know where I'm talking about?
Is it by the lake?
Yeah, it's between Bear Lake and the, whatever creek you wanna call it, that's over there.
Typar legal?
Hmm?
Is Typar legal or is?
Yep, yeah, put Typar down.
I got a question relevant to that. Can the borough, the flood service area, deposit gravel back there? It's just a shame, like you said, it's a shame to pay twice for gravel.
There's a big pile of it back there from the.
There's one by the revetment.
Yeah.
We can get you gravel.
But the cost of it to travel there.
So talk to me later about why that, you still have your gravel and why we still keep
I
buying
know why,
gravel.
but
There's
need to break through that.
logistical reasons that come into play, and maybe there's something the borough could do to make that easier. But, that's a sidebar, but about $4,000 is what I'd be looking for there.
And that would be through the Iditarod Trailblazers, which is a nonprofit organization.
I'm sorry, I didn't say
And I
that.
can provide the tax ID and things like that if you
Okay.
need that.
Just to clarify, that's just for the transportation of gravel or the purchase of gravel and transportation?
It's actually just trying to move it and put in the equipment, because if we can
And
get
the-
it from the
and the-
abutment like that would
And
be
the
great, but
Typar
it's
and-
just,
And the labor and
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds like the residents of Bear Creek need to win on a Bobcat and a
Yeah.
1964 dump truck or something.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Another point there is the Iditarod Trailblazers do have some money themselves, so you wouldn't have to pay anything. The money we've raised is for trail maintenance, so.
Will we be adding to it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what voting's for when we get to that point. What else do we have for, cap projects?
Yes, sir.
So, my name is Jonathan, I'm with Bear Creek Fire, the volunteers anyway. So we're looking to, we rolled the last year's grant this year to try and, get some more money so we can actually go purchase the snow machine. The volunteers run everything SAR related. The borough pays for nothing for SAR related. So like this cap grant's kind of been where most of our SAR, it's where all of our SAR gears come from for the volunteers. And we're trying to use this to, we have a 2011 Bearcat that's not been very productive in what we need to go into the backcountry and get patients. So we're trying to get something a little bit newer, a little bit more cost effective to run to go get people in the backcountry. So that's what our project would be for the cap grant this year.
And how short are you for purchasing that?
So I called several different places and everywhere is 19 to 23. Like you get different numbers everywhere. So we're trying to get 10 and the volunteers will come up with the rest of it.
And just for the acronym deficient of a SAR is what?
Search and rescue.
So you're asking for 10 now or 5 now to add to the 5 plus you got last year?
If that's, we're asking for 10.
Okay.
Are there any other projects?
My name's Jonah Swiderski with the Sewer Nordic Ski Club. We were kind of basing our request for funds that assist with trail maintenance at mile 12, widen our trails out there, pull back the brushes and the eroding banks, improve some drainage, specifically starting with the Luna Loop and then whatever was available to start on Paradise Loop. But widen the trails, remove obstacles, improve trails and drainage, and of course safety is a big one there too. We've used our funds that we received last year from the CAP to build ourselves a structure out there for our equipment. We're very excited about it, and so just improving our trails now that we have this structure in place. This is a year-round trail. Hikers, walkers, snowshoers, cross-country skiers, fat bikers, mountain bikers, blueberry pickers. So a great trail, and one of its challenges is some of the drainage, and which actually I will be reaching out to you guys about for the gravel aspect of things in the future. So we were going to, based off of last year with only 2 nonprofits present, we're going to request 10,000, but we were going to put in 2,500 of our own, bringing it down to $7,500, which would split. I mean, simple numbers. I didn't do to the dollar, but essentially splitting the fund in half for it to be split. But of course, if needed, that could be adjusted as well. And this would be something that we would be able to accomplish hopefully this fall, and so that this winter's users would be able to be first in line to enjoy the improvements.
Okay. Any other projects? I'm sorry, that's your job.
I have a question. What would your funds be used for with the Nordic Ski Club? You know, when you just said gravel you could get from the borough, what would the $7,500 go towards?
We would be tackling any gravel this year. This would be primarily for an excavator to get out there and work the trails, removing the trees, removing stumps, widening the shoulders, so it's getting Metco to haul that's mob fees, and it's a much larger project than even this would be able to accomplish, but we would burn that fuel in that excavator to the last dollar and get as far down the trail as we could and make as much of an impact.
Yeah, just to clarify, again, forgive my ignorance, but the CAP has to be a nonprofit, so you couldn't take something off of the SIP list and put it on the CAP list, like the Weir paving, because that's not a nonprofit. Even like if a nonprofit took it,
I can look into it,
Well, but
potentially, but.
we were done with that.
Maybe for next year, okay.
Yeah, maybe for next year, so.
Okay.
Got 3 projects that result in $21,500. So ultimately, it would have been nice if folks would have gotten together and kind of negotiated and made it work in a way so it came to $15,479.41. Who can do without a little bit to get us, and who can do without a little bit to get us down to that number?
I think the section of trail by Bear Creek, we can see if we can't get it do that for less. I did put numbers together and I kinda did wanna come up short, so go say $3,000 on that one.
On the Iditarod
Yep.
Trailblazers.
And I mean, for us, the more the merrier, the more trail will be a effect, but we could probably bring ours down by, let's go $2,000, bring it down to 5,500.
So, hey Jonah, put yours back to 6,500 and we'll take whatever else. We'll split the difference.
All right, that's awesome.
I'd like to speak to that grant, because I actually have a little bit of a problem with taking a grant last year and then saving it and holding it over. Because I thought I remember last year you all saying that you were gonna be able to raise the funds if you were given that amount of money. And so I think funds are gonna continue to be held over. You need to wait until you do your right amount of fundraising and then come back and then make your ask. This is all we need to finish
So
it
you
out.
can only, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can only hold two sections of the cap grant over, correct? So you can only hold it 2 times before it gets rolled.
Okay, that wasn't talked about last year, so I don't really remember that. But it is a small amount of grant money, and I think it should be put into service as soon as possible, so. That's my.
Folks carry over from year to year, but we do 2 years on it, so that's common practice, because a lot of communities are small, and some of them have 6 or 7 people that are involved, and it just, for the physical possibility of doing a project, sometimes it takes 2 years to get there, so that's not
I'm aware of how grants work.
So but I'm not. So to clarify, if funds were awarded and they're unable to get the project, I mean, if the project is time, challenging, that money can be held on to for the following year and then tapped into when the project's able to move forward, as long as there's, I'm assuming, communication and all the rest.
right.
But then beyond that second year, it would be lost.
The first year's funding
Would be lost.
So, we have 65, 3, and the remainder for the snow machine.
Was it 23?
So now I'm really confused. Is that what the volunteers got last year, or is that what they
This is what
need to bring up to 19,000?
That's what they're asking. Their total, that's the estimated value of the snow machine that they're wanting to purchase. So these are the ask values. Iditarod's asking for this, volunteers asking for this, and the ski club is asking for that, and that totals the grant amount.
And what leaves the gap number for you? If you were to get that amount of money, how much do you need to raise?
Roughly anywhere from 9,000 to 10,000.
65 or 15.
So we do a pancake breakfast here, which is coming up next month. We do a hot dog feed. So we have several other fundraisers that came out.
Will you be promoting them throughout, so everybody is aware of these things?
Yes, they're all put on Facebook, on the very quick Facebook page. Put a sign on Yeah, so it's normally on the sign too up front. We'll put it up.
And I will also say, to your point about wanting those funds to get spent and utilized right away, because they're rolling over from last year, that initial funds that they received has to be spent by year. So there's motivation for that.
So how does, is there anyone that's opposed to that for your cap projects for this year? Except for her.
No, she said she was in agreement.
I think she just volunteered to be a primary.
Yeah. Okay, good. Everybody's happy with that? Okay, who is the Trailblazers? Oh, we know who that is. Okay, who's the ski club? You are. You have his name already. And Bear Creek Volunteer Fire Department. Okay. Good. We have to be in Cooper Landing in 30 minutes. Can I do it?
Who's fast?
Who's fast? That's not 30 minutes. Much easier. Hey, guys, thank you so much. Please let us know. Hey, guys, can we, just a second? Please let us know on these community things, how the borough can support you on strange little things. We do a lot of business in the borough. We have culvert material. We have stuff that can help you bring down the cost of these projects and bring these dollars as far as they can possibly go. Okay? So don't hesitate to reach out to me, and let's see if we can get you some help to stretch these dollars as far as possible. If you wanna do a fundraiser and you need items or something, I know we've got a few grand to go in the snow machine here. Just let us help. That's why we're here. It's the only reason we're here. So thank you very much.
If you wanna stay, I have, just a few talking points regarding a community council. And I sent an email out to some of you. I don't have everybody's email, like Sam, Lori, Phyllis, Fred, and about a community council, I did some research. I've known that Lowell Point's had one for several years. It does really well. Micah sent me a copy of their bylaws. There is some borough code regarding community councils, and the 2240-190 legislation, land use and capital projects, planning commission, and community council recommendations. I think this is the main point of this. The assembly shall consider the recommendations of local community councils and local advisory planning commissions in each unincorporated legislative district within each legislative district within the borough in developing capital project plans and assembly actions affecting their area. Legislative matters affecting land use or the disposal of borough lands or resources shall not be adopted by the assembly without giving consideration to recommendations, if any, of the planning commission, local advisory planning commission, or active community council. So, there's been some things that have gone on in the Bear Creek service area, which goes from like mile 9 to the 3 bridges and all the areas out from that could have had some input from a community council had there been one. So I've got a couple of papers. Sam walked out. The copy machine is locked up right now. But if someone was more interested in helping form that, I do have a copy of Lowell Point's bylaws. Micah did say she was making some edits to it from their meeting last year. Their meeting is gonna be October 1st for their community council, but, I just think, and I have since I got on the assembly, that Bear Creek could use some, support and some gathering together. And this is a community building. You can come and have meetings here. So, I don't live in Bear Creek, I live out of town, but, I used to live in Bear Creek. Anyway, so I just want to put that out there. If somebody wants to take these and look at them, take somebody interested in maybe getting this going, the bylaws are here, and I will be as helpful as possible to this. And, you're gonna need some officers and things like that. So it's gotta be a little like organized like when you're nonprofits. So, and it's advisory to the borough assembly. It's in the code that they're supposed to take your input and your recommendations before they do things like
Blueberry Hill?
Blueberry.
Yeah, that, one of the big ones, but, you know, the capital improvement project list, the first year I was on the assembly had 9 bridges, 7 of them were in Bear Creek. None of them got funded. So, I mean, those kinds of things you can give more input to and add your voice to, in a group, in strength, in this I took from the Anchorage every area in Anchorage has a community council. This is a relationship building, nonpartisan, non-political, to educate, it's civil, you don't make it personal, you respect everyone's time, you listen, you're welcoming, and you're inclusive. So that's what a community council we want that kind of action.
So
Your time on the assembly, have you seen your fellow assembly members weigh the opinion from a community council more than from individuals? Yes, I have. Okay. And there are assembly members that are really active in their little small unincorporated communities that they live in. Sorry, I represent you, but I don't live here, but
No, we're not
I would
sorry
love
you
to carry
represent
your
us.
voice to the assembly when there's things like these capital projects that are going on, or the need for a bridge to get repaired that's falling apart, or gravel to be put in someplace, so,
or
yeah.
removed.
Or removed. Yes, so, I wanted to throw it out there in some kind of a group meeting, because I've talked to several people separately about it, and it just.
What's the difference between in mechanisms in the community council and a plan?
The Advisory Planning Commission. The Advisory Planning Commission has more stringent requirements from the administration. The administration, the planning department sends you the agenda, and you're only supposed to talk about things that are on the agenda. So there has been some issues, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Bot Lake Trailhead?
Yeah.
Okay, that whole thing happened without any notification to the Advisory Planning Commission, it just wasn't put on the agenda. Where you, as a community council, set your agenda, and you say what's gonna go forward, what you're gonna bring to me, or what you're gonna, the clerk, there's a section of the code that the clerk has some responsibility to community councils. I'm sure she's not gonna like that, but that's part of the code, so, we just have to make sure that's followed. John?
One concern I have, I don't mean to be like a naysayer on the
No, go ahead,
concept,
John.
but as we've seen even in the 2 meetings here, and I think it was really well pointed out how Bear Creek is not a community in a traditional sense. This was kind of my first, even when he used the example of Kasilov, well, we can all point at Kasilov, but if you were to be anywhere in Alaska and say, oh, I live in Bear Creek,
They say the
They
one
don't
up by
know
Anchorage,
exactly.
or the one up by,
Exactly.
you know, like Denali, yeah.
and so it's in some ways it's exciting to think of it as maybe growing into something like that. But I'm worried that because we're spread out, because it's not that community yet, I'm worried about a group of fervent, concerned people from our neighborhoods showing up and having these discussions and not getting the real participation of the community and then advise. Do you see that happening I mean, like, the thing is, like, Hope is a relatively, in my mind, a relatively small community. Moose Pass is a wonderfully centralized community, even Little Point, but here, as spread out as we are, it's not easy to put a flag out that everybody's gonna see and be like, oh yeah, let's participate in this discussion.
For example, just Moose Pass, that community goes from the Y to Primrose.
Sure.
Primrose is represented in the Moose Pass Advisory Plan Commission. The Sportsman Club, which gets the CAP, they're the ones that that next meeting I'm going to, and part of the money goes to Primrose too. It's, or they get Primrose's money and the Sportsman Club decides about it, but it's that big of a community. Your community goes from 3 bridges to 9 and then out that way. See a big area difference. So, and I think at some point this has to happen, or more things like that 80-acre, $1.2 million purchase
with borough money is gonna keep happening without input from people. I mean, there was a lot of input, it didn't matter, it just wasn't, I don't know. Anyway, thank you for all coming to a consensus on this, that was absolutely fabulous. And I think we did what we were here to do today, even though we hadn't had a meeting ahead of time. And I got the notice 3.5 days ago.
So,
And I checked borough website the next morning, Wednesday morning, and it still wasn't on the public calendar, so
so do you have the ability to email residents?
I probably emailed 20 people this morning. I was trying to print up something that would give some brief information about what a community council was and get it out to, so everybody that had emailed me with the word question in the email, I think I got 10 an email sent, but, yeah.
So when somebody contacts you from, say, this room or from
Mhm.
outside the community, do you capture their email so that you can contact them back in a situation like where we might be able to meet ahead of time? Get together ahead of time and figure stuff out?
You mean for this event?
In this context, yeah.
Well, like I said, I found out about it Tuesday night at the assembly meeting. And I worked, I saw Wednesday and Thursday, yeah.
Right.
I mean, and I had to find out, what could I do? I mean, what was, as an assembly member, am I overstepping if I try to get an area to form a community council? So, yeah, I had to do some research. Yeah, so this was as soon as I could get a group together, because you were already coming. So, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
I gotta get your news pass. Yeah.
You know all the shortcuts.
You can leave later, but you know all the shortcuts. Yeah. I just know the road like the back of my hand, I'm telling you.
Thank you,
Yeah, thank you.
Do you remember the Iditarod Trailblazers? You should keep on because we maintain a lot of your trails that are ski up.
You should be.
That was kind of where I was at.
Remember the Iditarod Trailblazers?
I lost.
You lost.
I know, I did at one point, but I don't think I got a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.